You never think about what you have until you actually don't have it anymore. And the importance of it, like democracy. It is very important to stand together, especially in the difficult times, shoulder to shoulder. Putin's Russia is not gonna conquer Ukraine. It's too late already. It's not gonna happen. The only thing is, we need to continue endure and put pressure on Putin's Russia so they're gonna fail sooner. With that, we're gonna save lives, and with that, we're gonna eventually have our dream in our hands and be part of the European Union and part of the democratic society. And I think we need to shift it and say the United States, China, and Europe. Europe as a world leader.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the TUM Speakers Series here on the sidelines of this year's Munich Security Conference. My name is Nick, and on behalf of our entire team and the Technical University of Munich, it's my absolute honor to guide you through the next hour. Today's conversation centers on a war that now has been raging for nearly 4 years. A war that has cost countless lives, displaced millions, and is actually continuing far closer to Munich than some care to admit. For this conversation, we are joined by two extraordinary brothers and remarkable leaders. For their entire lives, they have been fighters. Together, they have won multiple world heavyweight boxing championships, became legends in the ring. But today, they are fighting a very different fight. Not anymore for titles, but for freedom, for democratic values, for Ukraine, and ultimately, also for Europe's security. It's my honor. It's my honor to quickly introduce also Vitaliy, the mayor of Kyiv, who's leading his city under constant threat. As you've been informed, unfortunately, Vitaliy wasn't able to make it to Munich due to the situation in Kyiv. The critical situation there puts his responsibility with his people. However, it was very important for him to still be part of our tonight's conversation, and we will have a short video message from him later on. However, here in person with us, his brother, Wladimir Klitschko. I don't think I need to introduce him very extensively. Olympic gold medalist, former boxing champion as well, chairman of the Klitschko Foundation, amongst others, and I must say, a tireless advocate for Ukraine and its future. It's an absolute honor having you with us.
Hi, Vitaliy Klitschko, mayor of Kyiv. My brother Vladimir have a meeting in Munich Technical University and asked me make short video. Actually, I have to be in Munich, but right now in critical condition because millions of people in our hometown without heating and electricity, and I have to be present in my hometown. That's why I canceled my travel to Munich. Short message to Germany. Thank you very much for your support. Stay with Ukraine. We have to do everything what we can to stop this senseless war, to bring peace back to Europe. And we have to be together. Unity around Ukraine is the key for peace and freedom in Europe. Big regards, successful meeting, and if you have a chance, after the war, visiting our beautiful city, I promise you, everyone will be surprised how beautiful, historical city Kyiv, how peaceful people living here. But right now, together we are times stronger, and right now we have to stop this war and looking forward in our goal to be the part of European family. Ukraine is part of Europe. Big regards. Stay together. Take care.
Wladimir, we now already had some time before to talk about everything, but that keynote, or little video in the end, that was recorded right now, yesterday actually, and that's what life is right now in Ukraine. The Ewald from Kleist Award of the Munich Security Conference just will be given tomorrow to the Ukrainian people. I will read it. In deep appreciation of their courage, sacrifice, unwavering resolve to defend their freedom and the freedom of Europe. It's a very important award. When you speak directly with people in Ukraine, what is their spirit right now? How are they holding up?
First of all, servus here in Munich. It's great to be among you because you're very special. Each of you is very special. I remember the time when I was a student, and I have collected some experience of life. I'm still U40, still not long anymore. I have a crying eye and a laughing eye. You know, laughing eye because I've made that far. A crying one is like, what is the weather after equator? I'm gonna be, 50 next month. So, I've collected some experience that I'm also sharing with someone who wanna get to know what is it like to, as the question was, facing the challenges. Actually, there's the methodology that was created by Tatiana Kyiv and me. It's called Face the Challenge. Show face to the challenge. Don't be a coward. Don't show back to the challenge. And there are 4 principles in FACE. F-A-C-E. Focus, agility, coordination, and endurance. That helped me to be successful in my first career as an athlete, and it can be helpful for anyone in any activity of life. I have a favorite principle. It's E, endurance. Endurance beats masterpiece and talent, and second largest army in the world, as we've been showing in the past 4 years. Since 2022, the full scale of war in Ukraine, and since 2014, with the annexation of Crimea in east of the country, the actual war has started. Back to your question, what is it like to be under or in the war? What is it like to be in such challenging, unhuman conditions by minus 25 Celsius? As the country and the city of Kyiv, you just saw the mayor of Kyiv. What is it like living under these conditions? You got to you got used to certain things. Very simple, your daily routines in life, right? Daily routine, what a biggie. So we have water. Just think about it. You've got water. When the water freezes in the pipes, and the pipes explode, so this water is, all over the place. If it's just too cold, then it just stays in those pipes. You have no water, and you're living in an apartment, and you're living on the 20th floor, for example, or 10th floor, doesn't matter. So you have no electricity because Putin's Russia is continuing to destroy our infrastructure, energy infrastructure. So, you have no electricity, it's cold, it's minus 25 Celsius outside, and your building is getting cooler and cooler, and probably you're gonna have minus 5, minus 10 degrees Celsius in your living room. Back to daily routine. Just imagine, you have no water. You never think about what you have until you actually don't have it anymore. And the importance of it, like democracy. Probably most of you were born in democracy. I know it's very international community here, but when you're born in democracy, you don't really know what democracy is. I mean, yeah, you talk about it, you hear about it, but you don't really care because you don't know the difference. So I was born in Soviet Empire in Kazakhstan. And I went through this process. What is it to live in a dictatorship, as Soviet Union was? What is it to live and work and create in democracy as my later on career was taking off and get to know the differences is knowledgeable for me, was knowledgeable and still. And it's very important to care and preserve what you have, preserve the democracy. And we continue fighting for our democracy and most importantly, for the peace in the country. It will take time, but as I said, endurance will beat the masterpiece in talent. And I don't want to assure you that Putin's Russia is not going to conquer Ukraine. It's too late already. It's not going to happen. Putin's Russia already lost the fight in Ukraine. The only thing is we need to continue endure and put pressure on Putin's Russia so they're going to fail sooner than later. With that, we're going to save lives, and with that, we're going to eventually have our dream in our hands and be part of the European Union and part of the democratic society.
Thank you so much. I think it's worth a round of applause. So what I now got out of it, I think the point was very well made. We need a powerful young generation. We need resilient people and we need enduring people as Ukrainians. But you've also in the past made clear that we need more. We need unity. As you said 2 weeks ago, the unity of the free world is not an option. It should be our obsession, because every small crack in our ranks is a big victory for our common enemy. Where do you, Wladimir, see the biggest cracks right now, and how can we close those cracks?
Have you heard about this rule, divide and conquer? You did, yeah. So, divide and conquer, and that's how Putin's Russia is trying to divide our European society. As we know, as examples of country leaders, there's Slovakia or Hungary, are trying also to divide our European values, what we're standing for. And it is very important to stand together, especially in the difficult times, shoulder to shoulder, to fight against the evil at any price. But you gotta do it. You gotta show the face, and you have to have the strength, and you have to have the courage, and a lot more, because in the times of war, the layers of complications are too many. And you gotta do what you gotta do. And you need to realize who you are and what you stand for. When you wake up in the morning, at least I do, what else can I do for my country? I mean, you've heard about it from F.J. Kennedy. Don't ask the country what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Obviously, you know, when you live in a society like Germany, like here in Munich, as we are, and there's a lot of things that we're already taken care of course, but we need to realize we want to work in what society we want to be, and what is my part in that society, what I want to move, where's my focus? What is focus? It's you. What are you standing for? I realized 2022, the war began, and I remember in the first 2 weeks of the war, I decided to stay with my people and be in Kyiv, and I've seen too many my compatriots dead. You've seen your compatriot alive, and then you see the next day his dead body or her dead body, tore apart or else. And eventually you're realizing, well, you're going to be next. If the Russians will capture and conquer the city and the country. And I remember behind the sandbags, because we were ready to fight in the street fights, with my gun in the hand, I was dreaming, thinking, like, Vlad, I said to myself, what the heck are you doing here? I could have a nice life somewhere in Miami, Florida. And trust me, I could. And I was sitting there. What are you doing here? What is important for you, Vlad? Is the university that you finished, Munich Pedagogical University, that I'm proud of, is that important that you have the diploma of that university? I mean, yes, but no. Is the Olympic gold important for you from 1996 in Atlanta? I mean, yes, but at this moment, no. Is the money on your bank account important for you at this moment? I mean, kinda yes, but no. You're laughing. So, is your child for you important? Yes, but I'm here. No. What is important for you, Vlad? And then I got into it. Why am I here? Because of my moral. My moral was not allowing me to be somewhere else, but I was there where my moral brought me to. And at some point, you will realize in your life, only when it's going to get difficult, what do you stand for? And that's why you got to really think who you are. What are you standing for? And then you will realize what you want to do out of your life. I mean, obviously, you're at this university and you're planning your life according to the direction you chose at this university, technical direction, what you want to do as a professional, with the profession that you're going to choose. You might change your mind and choose some other profession maybe, and who knows. But you know what? Whatever you do, just be in agreement with your moral. Because when your moral is not going to be in agreement with you, trust me, you don't want to live. You don't want to live the life you're going to choose. So stand for who you are. No matter how much others going to say, you're not that, or you're not going to go there. But realize who you are and what you stand for.
Thank you. So these were now many points about support, leadership, lastly also the moral part of it, the personal values. But I think there is a big elephant in the room, and that's the peace question, at least for me. It's how can we bring this war to an end? And I think everyone here wants peace, but peace means different things depending on who defines it. What I want to ask you, Wladimir, is also given the history, thinking of the 1990s, how do you define a real lasting peace, and what would security guarantees, which are now in the room again from the states and the negotiations, what would they actually need to look like this time to maybe achieve a fair peace?
Failure. Not on our side, but failure on Putin's Russia side. Failure in Ukraine. If we fail, we're not going to be the last in Europe who's going to be attacked by Putin's Russia. So the answer is failure for Putin's Russia in Ukraine, forbid it's going to be somewhere else, meaning we're not going to make it in Ukraine. We will make it, as I told you. But I think that's very important. We also realize that with all the peace guarantees, it's unfortunately, the idea of it is good, but the reality shows it's not counting really. It's not. If you want to live in peace, get ready for war. I call it in the methodology, face the challenge, the play of the Spiel der Gegensätze. The play of the opposites, I'm sorry. Too many languages in my mind. So the play of the game of the opposites. Very good for you to always ask what is there, what shouldn't be there, and what is not there, that should be. For anything. That's going to prevent you from a lot of failures. You always do the opposite from what is happening. Think about Warren Buffett. He said, when the blood flows the streets, buy. I mean, blood on the streets and mine kind of not working, right? But there is deep sense. So we can go on and on and on, and that's why I'm saying you want to live in peace, get ready for war. And that's going to save you from a lot of destruction and going to save a lot of lives. In the 90s, when Soviet Union broke apart, we gave up our nukes. We gave up our rockets and planes for guarantee that were signed by Russia and the United States of America and the Europeans. Where we're standing now. We're standing in a country that is having, for the past 12 years, war. Because we gave up the weapons that today bombarding us. Russians using the same planes and same rockets that we gave up to them for the guarantees. So, it's a joke, those guarantees. That's why, to answer clear, the best guarantee is get ready for war, and in any scenarios, you have to have your allies, because you cannot stand alone.
I think we've spoken a lot about military battles, the war itself, but there is also, unfortunately, a shadow which is running behind the war. And I must ask the question, I mean, you're well aware of certain corruption scandals, and the EU just committed also 90 more billion in financial support via loan. I mean, there's always a certain mistrust coming with it and negative shadows being weaponized pretty much against the Ukraine. How do you respond? How do you look at what's happening and what we see in the news sometimes?
I was in shock myself when I got to know those corruption scandals, as you've heard probably 2-4 weeks ago in Ukraine. I'm sure that those scandals were like knives stabbing into our men and women that are on the front line and risking their lives, while they were showing their faces to death. Others in the government were taking care of and improving the corruption in the government. It's shameful, not acceptable. It really, in this time where we, depending from the allies, is hurting me personally and my people in the country. It's not acceptable, and we will fight that. I think how to fight that, just to speak more precisely. In Ukraine, we are probably one of the most European digitalized society. We have, trust me, countrywide ideal internet connection compared to Germany. We do. Because sometimes I'm driving, through the Germany and I like, or gone completely, is like, what is going on?
Funkloch is going on.
You don't have this in Ukraine. So because we communicate very fast, and when two people sitting in the front of each other and we have kind of mutual interest and trade, what do you think was going to happen on the table? A lot. So if you put a digital tool between those two people, all of a sudden, it's transparent. And I think we're going to fight democracy. I'm sorry. We're going to fight
the opposite of
democracy. We're going to fight for democracy and against corruption with the digital tools. Digital tools. Because that's going to improve our work. And I think we went really far because we have, just an example, like Digital Kyiv. So there's an application, there are two applications I'm going to mention very quick because technical university. So we have DIA, an application, you have your passport, you have your driver's license, you have your insurance, you have all your life in this application DIA. And on the other hand, if you're living, for example, in the city of Kyiv, so it's all digitalized. You know, your parking tickets, your marriage, if you want to. So you can digitalize anything. And it's so comfortable. You can do it through your mobile phone. And that also saved us and saves a lot. Just practical example. My brother is not here, but I'm going to speak for him. City of Kyiv. Almost 5 million people live and work in Kyiv. So when the mayor got to lead the city since 2014, by the way, the longest running mayor of the city of Kyiv in the history of 1,500 years. I mean, but, and still, so the country took, there was under other President Poroshenko, took like 70% of the budget of Kyiv and sent to the budget of the country, and only 30% left there. So Mayor Klitschko is thinking like, what am I going to do with those 30%? It's just enough to pay rents and pension and doctors and teachers. Like, and maybe just more or less holding the city together because you have no money for and financial asset for development to take an active part of the evolution of the city and just get more technologies and so on. So you cannot really do a lot with that. But thankfully to German SAP, and there is open budget application, a system, a program that really helps to improve. For example, before it was like more or less between two men handling, you know, the taxes, and now you have digital tool from SAP Open Budget. So every penny you pay, you can see it lands online on the budget, and then it's gonna you can see where it's going to. For what? For you, your children, teachers, or medical staff. And more, or reparation for on the streets, whatever it is. And that all of a sudden, those 30% were more than 100% before that. So that's the way how through digitalization you can improve a lot and fight against corruption, for example.
Look, speaking of digital tools, I have a digital tool which is telling me that we are running out of time. I have one final question before we get to the audience questions, because I think it's really important and dear to your mission, and that's the Klitschko Foundation and We Are All Ukrainians. Because that's also part of the shadow I mentioned earlier. It's just something that often gets overlooked during a war, which is the younger generation, the children, the civilians suffering, everything which is not happening on the battlefield itself, but it's a complete different battlefield. Maybe you could just, before we dive in, tell us 2 minutes about what is your mission? Why is it so dear to you to keep on working and not, as you said, go to, what was it, Florida? Yeah.
Almost a quarter of a century we've been providing with Klitschko Foundation support for our young generation, and obviously during the war it has changed a lot because we need to adapt to the environment and provide certain support. And I will stress out what's really close to my heart, and that's during the war with occupation of Ukrainian territory. Russian Putin's military forces have occupied cities and villages, and in those cities and villages living people, living families with children. And when the front line, and it's very agile, going back and forth, you know, under this front line, families and children one more time. And either the family got killed and children were captured by Russians and sent to the filtration camp, or families are still there, but bullets and rockets and grenades are all flying over their heads, and they're freely giving up to Russians because they occupied the street, the building, or the city. They're freely giving up children for the safety of children. And those kids are going to the filtration camps, so-called, and they're staying there between 3 days and 3 months. If none of the relatives, and only women of the relatives will accept it to pick up the child, either aunt grandma, mother, can identify a child and take it. And if during 3 days or 3 months, no one will come, children are getting sent to their further Russia for adaptation. And it's horrifying to know that there are websites where you can choose a child for adaptation. Just think about it. If you're a good family and you look to adopt a child from Ukraine, you take the child and you adopt it. If you're a pedophile, you can take it too. There is no control. There is just pure evil, nothing else. So, continuing, those children, girls and boys, have to learn that they're Russians. The ones who were sent to deeper Russia, their identity will be erased. A new identity given. And boys have to go through military classes. Boys have to go and sing Russian anthems, so girls too. Age of 18, to the boys will be given weapons and they will be sent to the front line. And now we have facts where one family is fighting on both sides of the front line. That's a new shape of genocide. So those children, and I've met personally some of them, that were returned to Ukraine, and Klitschko Foundation with Save Ukraine, and we're all Ukrainians working on it to get out of hundreds of thousands, identified 20,000 children were deported, 20,000, not identified hundreds of thousands, and Russian propaganda to show how much land they have captured have said 800,000 Ukrainian children were saved. So the reality is very dark. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian children been raped, killed, or sent for the further adaptation in deeper Russia, where we, after a certain time, don't even know where they're at and what conditions they're having. And it's horrifying, and it's our mission to return, and we're fighting for every child to get back home, to get them back to Ukraine.
I think that's worth a round of applause.
It's getting, and I'm going to finish, it's getting very, very difficult to get those children back because they are the evidence of the war crime. Just think about it. Putin and co. have not declared of war criminals for erasing our cities and villages, killing our civilians, but they were declared of as the criminals of the war for the deportation of our children. So those kids that were returning back, they're very silent, so to speak, but eventually if they're opening up with their experiences, you don't want to hear that. It's horrifying to seeing mother being handcuffed to the heater pipe, and that's the last image of the mother that the child could have, or last image of dead parents that the child can have. And we're fighting for every single child, because every single life matters, to get back as many as we can. And unfortunately, as I said, it's getting more complicated because there are the evidence of the crime. And hopefully this crime will come to an end sooner than later.
Thank you so much for educating us on this. It's really important to hear. Look, I know you have clocks as well. We will take the next 10 minutes to go through your questions you sent in digitally. We will then afterwards have one final closing questions, and then you're good to go. Unfortunately, we will have a hard cut at 5, just FYI. The next question jumps back to the, let's say, good old days. Who knows? What habits or ways of thinking helped you the most to become a world champion? And which of these would you particularly recommend to young people today?
Habits. Very good word, habits. You know, if you think about, first you wake up in the morning like you're motivated. The day's starting. You got, 20 push-ups, 20 squats, maybe 50, I don't know. And then you get your coffee and then cold shower, so you're highly motivated. But motivation after lunch is going away. Like, you're a little bit groggy and, motivation is not that stable. So then you're getting to the next stage from motivation to discipline. Discipline, and that's what actually gonna make you great. That discipline is even the word is very harsh, hard, right? Discipline, I have to be disciplined. It's kind of tough. But after discipline, if you keep on the repetition, FACE, focus, agility, coordination, endurance, focus, agility, coordination, endurance. You just were done with endurance, you need to start from focusing again. So repetition is discipline. But you know what really light is? When your discipline becomes a habit. You don't even think about it, you just do it. And then it's all of a sudden not that complicated and difficult. But that's the process how you starting to learn how to get to the habit. So get motivated, but it's not stable. Get disciplined, but it's not lasting. But keep on going, and eventually you're gonna get to habit. So keep on learning as a habit and never stop. And obviously, whatever you do, just keep on going, because giving up, that's the lightest thing what you can possibly do.
The next question brings us to something unfortunate that probably broken a lot of habits, and that it's the first night of the full-scale invasion. It asks, what do you remember most vividly? How was the first night for you?
I remember everything. Too many details, and I have to answer fast. I would probably stress out some things that were first time in my life. I woke up in the morning and I got a call from my team member, and we were getting ready for the war, even though on one hand we didn't believe that the war, full-scale war is gonna happen, but we knew it's gonna happen, and we were more or less prepared, at least I was. And with my group, and I got a call from a team member, and they said, so they're coming. And I think as soon as they hung up, I could hear the explosions, and so the war started. I have not slept for 2.5 days. 2.5 days, I don't know, maybe some of you didn't sleep for 2.5 days. Maybe some of you having that experience, 2.5 days. I don't see any raising hands, so 2.5 days, wow, okay. Party? Okay. All right, we're gonna get later to that. Oh, we're organizing it, okay, thank you. From all of us, thank you. Thank you. What I realized of 2.5 days not sleeping, you little, right? And obviously those images of explosions and dead bodies, just too many dead people. It's probably the most shocking for me, because I'm part of this world. So since I was 14, I went to the boarding school for sports, and I've been traveling around the world. And I have spent more time in this country than probably in the US, or obviously in the Ukraine. And, I'm part of this society. Some of you, what's interesting? Like before, like 10 years ago, after shooting Milshnity with my brother, commercial, some of you laugh, you know what I'm talking about. I've seen people playing those scenes from Milshnity between each other, not people, children playing those scenes, between two brothers. And it was not imaginable that I need to introduce myself in this country. Now it is. time is passing, and to the younger generation, I need to introduce myself and explain actually why I'm that tall and where I'm coming from and so on. So before it was not even the topic. Yeah, so now I lost it.
That's okay. We have the final question from the audience here, which I think your favorite proverb, which is equal to saying in Ukrainian, and please explain what a proverb is.
Okay. Ukrainian is the fourth language for me. So it's not the first language. And actually, I like that question a lot. Even though my dad is Ukrainian, my mom is Russian, from Siberia. Do you know why it's called mother language, by the way? Because father has nothing to say. So I just explained the combination in my family. So my mom is Russian speaking, and so everyone communicated in Russian, but I could hear the Ukrainian language from my grandparents, because my father was communicating in Ukrainian with my grandmother and my grandfather. So when I was sometimes during the summer, so they were communicating in Russian to me, but between each other they spoke Ukrainian. My grandparents, and so I got to know obviously verb, я тебе питаю. In Ukrainian means I'm asking you. In Russian, питаю means like I'm torturing you. And I was as a child like, why is my grandma torturing my grandpa? Like, I couldn't really get to know the language, and it was kind of, sounded certain things weird. Like, du hast Schwein gehabt, so you had a pig, means like you had luck, right? So, and many other, like in different languages, there are a lot of different things that can be funny. But that's my fourth language. Obviously, Russian was the first, English was the second, German was the third, and Ukrainian is the fourth. And I have not spoke Ukrainian until until 2022. After seeing what Russia has done and still doing to us Ukrainians, I wanted to demonstrate, I'm when I hear Russian language, it just really bothers my ear. Even though sometimes I'm using it, also in the communication with my brother, but I turned into Ukrainian since 2022. So I communicate Ukrainian only in a society in Ukraine, and that's one of the protests against this aggression. And language is also one of the tools, and very strong tool.
Okay.
So that's, I'm sorry, I like the question. Thank you very much.
I will have to go with your second question for the last personal here, and that is, I mean, you were one of the greatest athletes of your generation back then, and after that legendary fight back in 2017 in Wembley, you could have gone to Florida, take all the sun, but you didn't, and especially in the last years you didn't. My question, the last one, would be: after nearly 4 years of war, what keeps you going? And very importantly, for the last
what keeps me what?
What keeps you going? What keeps you going? And what is your message to maybe the people in the room on a closing note?
You just mentioned 2017 fight.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? I don't remember.
The last big fight in Wembley.
Only good wins.
Yeah.
And I still got it, by the way. It's not over yet. Oh, yeah. Have you heard about George Foreman and his record? So appealing. I love it. Every morning I dream about it. Unfortunately, when the war happened, I'm like, that dream kind of postponed, but who knows? So anyway, keep on dreaming, Vlad, and you too. So I just want to, in the end of our conversation, Q&As that we had, so it is a conversation even though there is a lot of monologue coming out of my mouth. And first of all, I'm thankful for the invitation. Second, thank you very much for the historic gathering in this auditorium. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us, because each of you supporting Ukraine, supporting democracy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You probably would have chosen some other activity during this time, but you came here. You're showing at least an interest. You're not looking away what is happening at our home in Europe. We must know, we Europeans, even though it's an international society here and not just Europeans, but I'm going to speak for Europeans here. Trump's administration has clearly, and we're thankful, at least I'm thankful, to Trump administration, have clearly got to understand for us Europeans that we are standing alone, so to speak. Even though we will not be alone, and the US will always gonna be our ally. I mean, but what was said was done. We have to take care of ourselves. We're 450 million with many countries and cultures and technologies and talents like you that we're proud of, that will go in to build Europe as a world leader. And I think we need to shift it and say the United States, China, and Europe as a long-standing, equal more or less, but independent from each other in this world. And I think we can do it, and I think we must do it to get more independence. And I truly believe we need to stay united, and you're the ones who's going to make it happen. Stay united, stay together, stay strong. You heard what the mayor said. Stay united, stay together, stay strong. And when I say we Europeans, of course I cannot forget about Ukraine. Because as soon as this war is going to be over, you will need us. You, meaning so-called free world, Europe. We're fighting since 2014 to be part of you. And I think we can share a lot.
I think that's a perfect. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
I'm sorry. As you have heard from first meeting with Trump and the Ukrainian president, was said like, you have no cards, right? And then the Ukrainian president said, wait a second. We have natural resources for trillions of dollars. He said, what? Let's talk about it. So I just want to say that Ukraine is not only the largest European country, but it's also the richest European country. And I'm not talking about the natural resources, I'm talking about people. It's like, it's not about what kind of, turning to boxing, not kind of brand of your gloves, it's who is holding the gloves. So we're extremely educated, we're workaholics in Ukraine, we're creative. For example, just to mention a few things, the first helicopter was created by Igor Sikorsky, and first helicopter took off in city of Kyiv. Historical fact. A lot of you using a communication tool, WhatsApp. What's up, yo? Using or not? Of course. European, Jan Kum, European, Ukrainian, European, Ukrainian. Jan Kum has created WhatsApp. So we have a lot of talents, we have talented people, we have a lot of students like you that are eager to create together strong, peaceful Europe under democratical values. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you all. 1 second. Thank you all for coming.